and in Chhattisgarh also several weapons were looted when the police force was just 8 to 10 constable in police stations. So that is why the supply chain is from the outside also. And ID, basically they improvise the things locally and they utilize those things locally. So
well,
that is the point.
Okay, that's the point. Mr. Nathaniel, you know, in any war against terror, financial muscle is something very important. It needs to be destroyed. So if the financial muscle remains the same, it means that these Maoists will always have the capacity to regroup and come back.
Of course, that's a questionable thing as to how they'll get the finances now. Because earlier they were able to get the finances from the industrialists also, who had their industries in LW affected areas. And apart from that, they were even getting the money looted from banks and other places. And because of that, they were able to manage their finances. And as Mr. Tyag, the previous panelist said, they get it from the locals also, which they utilize for conducting operations. And part of it goes to the low rank, part of it goes to the commanders in the LWE. But this financial thing would now be very difficult because of the stringent measures taken by the government, and they will not be able to get any financial help from any quarter except until they go for a loot or something, which now is impossible. Earlier they could gather in large numbers of 200 and 300 also and go in for a big loot. Now they can't even gather in small groups of 5 to 10 because our intelligence system has geared up so well that even when they regroup in 5 to 10 personnel, they can immediately be caught by the security forces because the intelligence would immediately flow to the security forces. So now it's very difficult for them to get any financial assistance from either the industrialists or the contractors.
Okay, Mr. Singh, this is an operational question. When it was reported that there was tremendous pressure on the battalion that Hidma was commanding, that he was forced out of his battalion, was moving in his civvies in a smaller group, and that is how the ambush took place. So what is this concept? Now, how was he forced out of a battalion that he was leading? Why would he get pushed out? And that led to his nemesis.
Well, there is always internal strife that goes on among the Naxals themselves. Now, Hidma may have been a bit too sort of authoritative, and therefore, they felt that he should be going elsewhere and expressing himself rather than being within the battalion and taking all the advantage. So probably to test him out whether he would be able to do better when he is away from the battalion, maybe that may have been the reason. Otherwise, I can't really say why he should have been eased out of some place where he was so very successful. That's the only reason I can think of.
Okay, and what about this political leadership? It also remains intact in a way. A lot of people have been taken out, but a section of the political leadership remains intact. So what is the way to get them, sir? Because they might not be in the interiors, they might be living in cities.
Yes, you are absolutely right. They are living in cities and they have a special way to, contact their lower cadres. And that has been happening for a very long time. So they have to be nailed like we did during, say, 2005 and 2006. We get such a close surveillance on all of them that they were unable to contact their lower cadres. Now that's one of the ways to do it. And by now the intelligence and the police knows exactly who are the leaders, who are the intelligence giving people with their experience who are guiding the cadres. So, we are in a much better situation now than ever before, and that should be capitalized by the government and the police, intelligence agency especially.
And lastly, before I close this conversation, Mr. Mishra, do you think that this also requires some sort of as Mr. Singh said, a de-radicalization program, in the sense that people should not romanticize Naxalism. You know, it's against the sovereignty of the state. It challenges the the concept of nationhood. So, I think apart from the fact that we are getting the political and the military leadership, do you think there has to be a push to tell people that don't romanticize violence? Hundreds of our brave men have died fighting them.
Yes, Karthika, I can well tell you, we have lost more than 155 to 160 CRPF men, and about 5 to 600 Jawans they became Shaheeds. And in fact, romanticize, they should not do it, because now the situation is, the way the surrender policy is there, the way their family is looked after, the way that they are being, the moment they surrender, they get a lot of facilities, and the way the development has taken place in tribal areas, and particularly those who are surrendering their families, they are being looked after. So this is the way the surrender policy of Chhattisgarh that has been adopted by Odisha and also by Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. And I hope so that definitely those all who are there, very few now, they are there with weapons, they all will be surrendering, they will come to the Mukhya Dhara, and it's not that it will be Bharat will be mukt of Naxalites, but this Naxalites, this Maoism will be over, like in 1972, 73, 74. We completely finished Maoism in West Bengal. The whole Charu Majumdar groups, they were wiped out. So now Hidma is wiped out, and now Tek Shankar has gone. All will
I
be
think,
wiped
Mr.
out.
Mishra, what is important is this
Yes.
ecosystem of romanticizing violence against
Yes.
security forces must die. I think that's the most important part, It's not poetry, it's not literature, it's pure violence against the sovereignty of the state, and it should be stated like that. And yes, indiscriminate use of force, everyone criticizes it. But what the Naxals have done is that they have bled our nation, and that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Thank you all of you for joining me. And the entire idea to have this conversation was to state the point that India is close, Bharat is close, very, very close, inching towards it in defeating Naxalism. And this was on point 1, and on point 2, we'll talk about the open letter to Rahul Gandhi from eminent citizens, but after a short break.
खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया।
भाई साहब, आपने भारत कनेक्ट का नाम सुना है?
एक और सोशल मीडिया ऐप।
सोशल मीडिया ऐप नहीं, वो 700 से ज्यादा ऐप्स पे बिल पेमेंट्स पॉसिबल बनाते हैं।
बढ़िया है।
आप हमें जानते नहीं पर मानते जरूर हैं, हम हैं भारत कनेक्ट।
बहुत टाइट हो गई।
Take a date, not bites. No added sugar, प्रिजर्वेटिव के बिना डेट्स, बादाम, पिस्ता, काजू और शहद से तैयार किया गया लायन डेट्स नट बाइट्स। Lion Date Nut Bites.
Welcome back. As many as 272 eminent citizens, including retired judges, bureaucrats, diplomats and armed forces officers, have written an open letter to Rahul Gandhi, the leader of the opposition in Lok Sabha. The letter includes 16 retired judges, 123 former bureaucrats, 133 retired army officers and 14 former ambassadors. The signatories to the letter have called out Gandhi for his alleged attempt to tarnish constitutional bodies and Election Commission of India. The letter slams Rahul Gandhi over his scathing accusations of vote theft against the Election Commission and blistering rhetoric against SIR. The letter, titled Assault on National Constitutional Authorities, accuses opposition leaders of levelling venomous rhetoric against key institutions and using provocative but unsubstantiated accusations to further political narratives. It states that after attacking the armed forces, the judiciary, parliament and constitutional authorities, the opposition has now targeted the EC with systematic and conspiratorial attacks. The letter describes the opposition's behavior as impotent rage, deep anger, born of repeated electoral failures and frustrations.
पिछले कुछ समय से ये देखा गया है कि भारत की निर्वाचन आयोग के ऊपर नेता प्रतिपक्ष बेबुनियाद हमले किए जा रहे हैं। उनका विरोध एसआईआर के विपरीत है कि एसआईआर नहीं होने चाहिए। इस प्रक्रिया का विरोध कोई सिरफिरा ही कर सकता है, क्योंकि जो भाषा बोली जा रही है कि हम एटम बम फोड़ देंगे, हम हाइड्रोजन बम फोड़ देंगे, ये भाषा भी बमों वाली भाषा आतंकी ही बोलते हैं। और फिर सरेआम धमकी देना कि तीनों चुनाव आयुक्तों का नाम लेकर कि हम तुम्हें देख लेंगे, रिटायरमेंट के बाद जनता को कहना है कि इनके नाम याद रख लो और ये रिटायर तो होंगे ही, इनको दुरुस्त करना है, ये भाषा जो है सभ्य लोगों की भाषा नहीं है।
हमारा पत्र लिखने का अभिप्राय केवल एक है कि हमारी जुडिशरी, हमारी फौज, हमारा इलेक्शन कमीशन, इसके ऊपर हमें 100% नहीं 200% विश्वास है, और जो उसके ऊपर प्रश्न चिन्ह उठाते हैं मुझे घोर आपत्ति है।
The letter says that the leader of opposition has repeatedly attacked EC. It goes on to list what it calls unbelievably uncouth rhetoric against nodal electoral body. The letter alleges Rahul has made vile, unsubstantiated claims against Election Commission. One, he has declared he has proof EC is involved in vote theft. Second, he claims he has atom bomb. When it explodes, EC would have no place to hide. 3, alleged EC is indulging in treason. 4th, Rahul has threatened present and former election commissioners. 5th, he has not filed any formal complaint against EC. 6th, Rahul hasn't given any sworn affidavit.
अब 140 करोड़ से ज्यादा देश के आबादी में 272 ये कौन से प्रतिष्ठित लोग हैं, मुझे तो नहीं पता कितने प्रतिष्ठित हैं, लेकिन हाँ ये पोस्ट रिटायरमेंट बीजेपी के एम्प्लॉयमेंट एक्सचेंज में आवेदन करता जरूर लग रहे हैं। आपने काफी सारे इन लोगों का नाम लिया जो पदों पर रह चुके हैं, इनमें से एक व्यक्ति भी पूर्व चुनाव आयुक्त नहीं है, एक व्यक्ति ऐसा नहीं जिसने चुनाव आयोग में कभी काम किया हो। तो ये सब अपने कार्यक्षेत्र के बाहर की बातें कर रहे हैं।